Rishabh Bhavani, founder and CEO of Carmat Learning. He's going to share his views on the balanced human development at an early age. Welcome.
Good morning. I would like to thank GFEL for giving me a chance to share my thoughts with all of you. Thank you for being part of this conversation and for being in this room to discuss an important topic. How do we empower youth to live a balanced life? Hello, I'm Rishabh Bhavani, age 16, a rising junior at Elise Nagel High School in Orange County, California. The fact that I'm talking about this topic does not mean I'm living a perfectly balanced life, but I'm working on it. You must be wondering what a 16-year-old has to say about something you don't already know. I don't blame you if you think that way. I am a teenager and living through this life. I promise you that I will make the next 30 minutes interesting and worthwhile of your time. We will start by discussing some important problems and challenges that the youth is facing today. It will be a bit real at the beginning, although we will start brainstorming solutions later, and we'll end this talk on a high note. Everyone is aware that mental health issues are rising all around the globe, yet these numbers will still startle you. 300 million people suffer from depression globally. 1 million die by suicides every year. Depression is the third largest cause of death for teenagers in this country. According to WHO, about 50% of mental health disorders in adulthood start at age 16. To explain how serious this issue is, let us look at what a teenager has to say after she was hospitalized after a bout of depression.
I'm here to tell you why I think this is happening, not only to me, but to a dangerous number of teenagers in this country. A statistic that is increasing every year, and why each one of you needs to advocate for programs in schools for teens that are suffering from depression and anxiety. Depression in our society is not obvious when walking down the street or the hallway, but simply open your laptops, your smartphones, your tablets, and do maybe one Google search and you will be blown away. After my one Google search, I found that after a study conducted in this spring, 1.6 million Tumblr blogs were examined, and of those, 200,000 contained pictures, videos, and text posts of teenagers hurting themselves due to depression. Is it because we now have the technology to express an ever-present feeling, or is it something greater? Is it just a coincidence that school systems and standardized tests, they're getting harder and college acceptance rates are going down and the pressures to be a stereotypical man or woman are everywhere? Is it possible that this society is the thing responsible for the increase in a disease that is more than capable of killing? And we don't talk about it much because it's often deemed a phase or hormones or being over-emotional. Oftentimes, conversations regarding mental illnesses such as depression result in words being thrown around that are nearly irrelevant. Depression is not the emotion sadness. Depression is a state of being below neutrality. Sadness is an emotion that comes and goes just as happiness does. My biggest pet peeve is when someone comes up to you and says something along the lines of, "I'm sorry, I was just depressed earlier. I'm so depressed right now." Depression does not just come and go, it's there. And it is the third largest cause of death among teenagers in this country. 4,400 kids commit suicide a year, and for every one of those, at least 100 attempt. So now I'm standing here asking you all the same simple question I asked myself when I was in the hospital. Why?
So why? Very clearly, the balance in our lives is missing. A lot of this is caused by society setting unfair expectations on burdens and teenagers. To understand this better, let us dig a bit deeper into what is causing these issues. Broadly, our well-being can be structured around these 5 pillars of health. Let us examine some underlying issues that we young minds are facing under each of these pillars. According to the Sleep Foundation and American Academy of Sleep Medicine, almost half of teenagers are not getting the recommended 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Lack of sleep hampers academic achievement, leads to various mental disorders, poor physical development, impairs decision-making, leading to risky behaviors. According to WHO, only 1 in 5 get the recommended 1 hour of exercise daily. They do not enjoy the physical, mental, and social benefits of regular exercise. We've had this electronic revolution that seems to have changed adolescents' movement patterns and encourages them to sit more, to be less active, to drive more, walk less, and be less active in general. Over 340 million children and adolescents aged 5 to 19 were overweight or obese in 2016. The prevalence of overweight and obesity among children and adolescents aged 5 to 19 has risen dramatically from just 4% in 1975 to just over 18% in 2016. School dropouts, which have been on a declining trend for a long time, are expected to now increase due to families coping with the pandemic and related economic challenges. Access to free online learning opportunities for youth is the need of the hour. Young adults who have not graduated from high school are incarcerated at higher rates than those with higher levels of educational attainment. Now, to understand the social health issues, let us look at what some fellow teenagers have to say.
I check my phone a lot.
More than I can count.
I check it usually when I wake up in the morning.
Before school, on the bus ride to school.
During school.
A couple times each class.
At lunch.
Probably check it at break. After school.
Walking home.
While I'm doing homework.
I'm constantly checking my phone until I go to bed.
On social media, you can talk to people, but you can't really get your emotion across. I sometimes wish that it wasn't a thing so I could just hang out with my friends and play basketball or do other things like that.
After getting my phone, in-person interactions, it's been replaced by text and call and FaceTime.
Yeah, when I do my homework, my phone is normally next to me, and I definitely do check it, and sometimes I get sidetracked. If my parents saw some of the things that I saw on social media, I think they would be very shocked.
I've heard racist and sexist comments in comment sections.
There's a lot of bullying, obviously, that goes on online, which is horrible.
They will comment something rude with language that is offensive, and people make it very personal and hurtful. They just want to invalidate you and your feelings.
Clearly, social media has an impact on our social health. The video talks about bullying. Let us understand a bit more about bullying. Generally, children who are bullied have one or more of the following risk factors: are perceived as different from their peers, such as being overweight or underweight, wearing glasses or different clothing, being new to a school, or being unable to afford what kids consider cool, are perceived as weak or unable to defend themselves, or less popular than others and have few friends, someone who does not get along well with others. A buddy network and peer-to-peer interactions can be super helpful to address these issues. Some causes of addiction among teenagers are just plain curiosity, desire to escape, peer pressure, stress, emotional struggles. Half of all new drug users are under the age of 18. Experimentation plays the biggest role in teenage drug use. Majority of adults with addiction first experimented with drugs before they turned 21. The good news is that the rate of teenage drug abuse has been declining. As we discussed before, depression is a significant problem around the world. The pandemic and related isolation has significantly exacerbated mental health issues. Young adults have experienced many pandemic-related consequences, such as closures of universities and loss of income that may contribute to poor mental health. During the pandemic, a larger than average share of young adults ages 18 to 24 report symptoms of anxiety or depressive disorder. Clearly, there is urgent need to restore balance in our lives. The question is, how do we do that? Let us look at the science and research that people have been doing. One way to balance life is to balance the happiness chemicals in your brain. How we stack up our day often determines how far we go in life and how successful we would be. Can we make sure to do some of these activities every day? When the COVID lockdown started, like a lot of people, our family was going on long nature walks or bike rides to only absorb the sunlight, but to also absorb the scenery and relax. Not sure if you heard of Blue Zones for Healthy and Happy Lives by Dan Buettner. Dan went around spending time at happy and healthy communities around the world to understand what is common in all of them. A lot of the activities in his recommended lifestyle also incorporate some of these activities: long walks, eating healthy, listening to music, having a purpose in life, and staying connected with friends and family helps you to lead a happy and healthy life. Now, let us try to understand how teen brains specifically work.
Teen brain development is a fascinating part of the development during adolescence. And I think it's important for parents to know that the brain is a work in progress during the teen years. And in fact, the brain is not fully developed until about 25 years of age. Certainly, young people also may have a heightened kind of emotional response to things that are happening during the adolescence. One of the things that we know, and an important concept, is that the limbic system, which has to do with pleasure and reward, is a little bit stronger during the teen years than something else called the prefrontal cortex, which has to do with logic and rational thought and self-awareness. And that partly is the reason why teenagers may experience things in a heightened way, because the limbic system, which has to do with emotions and pleasure and reward, is much stronger. And I think parents probably still remember the music they listened to when they were a teenager, and maybe remember their first crushes or attractions, because all of those experiences and feelings are much stronger during the teen years. The other thing that we know is that the frontal lobe is very much developed during the adolescence period, and connections are being fully made to the brain during that time. And we know that that area is very much part of executive functioning and decision making. And it isn't until later that in adolescence that all of these connections are fully made. So for all of these reasons, we know that teen brain development is really important in terms of emotional decision making in adolescence, and that certainly protecting the teen brain and getting young people to sleep well, to eat well, to not use alcohol and drugs, which all affect the teen brain, is a very important part of what we can do as parents to guide them.
Center for Parent and Teen Communication is part of adolescent medicine of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. In their white papers, they talk about how much our brain is constantly growing from teenage through age 25, and how do we nurture it? Number one, be warm and supportive. Home environments have a strong influence on teens' health and well-being. When parents give kids a loving environment and plenty of support, it promotes their physical and mental health, positive behavior, and healthy brain development. Number two, provide new experiences. Teen brains are open to taking in lots of new information. Offer teens plenty of opportunities to learn about diverse subjects such as art, music, technology, or travel. This might unlock new ways of thinking about and understanding the world. Middle Earth is an institute based out in New Jersey providing youth support services. Here are some tips they recommend on how teens can promote their self-improvement. We are all guilty of beating ourselves up for things we have done in the past, or are comparing ourselves to other people we think are better than us. One of the best things we can do for ourselves is work to forgive ourselves and let things go. Each day, think about the good things you have accomplished and praise yourself. According to Aspen Institute Youth Development, we need to build partnerships and support of where, when, and how learning happens. The cognitive, social, and emotional skills can be developed intertwined with the community where people live in. Core academic classes, elective classes, informal school spaces such as cafeterias, hallways, libraries, buses, extracurricular activities such as clubs, mentoring, and sports, community volunteering opportunities, and community learning settings such as libraries, museums, zoos, and parks. Exposing young minds to different spaces and settings stimulates balanced growth. According to a white paper from Lisa Bottomley at Michigan State University, youth development can be focused around the 5 C's: competence, confidence, connection, character, and caring. Developing these 5 C's can result in the 6th C, contribution. Let us understand this better.
So there are various ways of thinking about what we want to promote in kids. Typically in America, we define a good kid by what they don't do. Oh, they don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't engage in bullying, they don't engage in unsafe sex. So you're good by you're good because of what you don't do, as opposed to pointing to those attributes of a young person you want to promote to show that they're thriving or flourishing. So increasingly across the 1990s and now across the 15 years of this century, we've begun to focus on what we want to promote in kids. And people have come to talk at least about 5 things. Competence, not just academic competence, although that's a part of it, but also social competence and health competence and vocational competence. 60% of all kids who are enrolled in high school full-time work part-time. In addition to being a competent young person, you want to be a confident young person. You want to feel that you're a young person that has the skills to effectively do valued behaviors. And that's critical in sports, but it's critical in life. Then connection is another C of positive development. And so what that means is you understand that life isn't pursued effectively by yourself. You need positive relationships with parents, peers, friends, coaches, teachers, mentors, faith leaders. And then you need to be a person of character. You need to show that you understand what's right to do and you're committed to doing what's right. A moral compass, or a sense of even spirituality, that it's important to go beyond yourself. And that leads to the 5th C, caring or compassion, that you understand that just because you have your assets and resources, your concern shouldn't stop there. How can I make the world a better place for others who may be less fortunate? Now, what happens when you have competence, confidence, connection, character, and caring? A 6th C comes about. You're a young person devoted to making a positive contribution to your friends, to your family, to your school, to your community, and ultimately to civil society and democracy. You want to contribute by being an active and positively engaged citizen. So that's a great outcome that we see when kids are thriving with those 5 C's.
One of the known ways to make things better is to encourage peer-to-peer interactions. Forming support groups and buddy networks help significantly. Much easier to communicate and understand issues among peers. Peer relationships provide a unique context in which children learn a range of critical social emotional skills, such as empathy, cooperation, and problem-solving strategies. As we discussed before, the question we asked was, is the society responsible for this broken balance in teen development? While we can debate what is causing the issues, one thing is for sure that we all agree is that the solutions need to come from the community we live in. The part of that is to openly discuss the challenges with various developmental issues, including mental disorders, and make seeking help cool and responsible. This is a burning issue that needs to be brought to the front, and discussions need to happen in all mainstream avenues related to education. And of course, the biggest mainstream avenue we have is our education system in school districts. We need to make sure the topic of balanced development becomes part of the main school curriculum. Promoting this awareness and wellness support will be super helpful so teens don't feel lonely when they start to experience any of the challenges we discussed earlier in the presentation. Can we catch them early on? When they start to show signs of disengagement and lack of interest in the preferred fun activities, did we provide them a mainstream support platform to reach out for help? According to Inc., a magazine for entrepreneurs, the best CEOs are always striving to find balance in their lives. Sometimes during critical business transaction work, like buying or selling a business, they get too busy as well and life goes out of balance. But they have this awareness and restore balance, and that is what makes them so successful. How can we prepare teens to learn this early on so this helps them to be successful in adulthood? I am here to request help from everyone in this room to make this change happen. Let us collectively raise our voices so youth are given the support and platform to enable balanced growth that would set them up for great success. We need to have hard discussions on, are we doing enough as a society to promote a safe and healthy environment for teens to be nurtured? What is missing? How can we raise awareness of the missing pieces and mainstream the discussion in the community, including the education system and school districts? Here is something that I am doing to help with these issues. I am currently working on an app that I envision will help as a support buddy to the youth, providing them reminders so they adhere to a balanced schedule throughout the day, taking care of different dimensions of their development. For example, making sure they're going out in fresh air, getting some exercise, getting some sunlight, listening to some music, spending time with friends, reading some interesting books, taking part in leadership and volunteering activities, nurturing their hobbies, allowing them an opportunity to submit an audio journal of their day so they can reflect and also express gratitude for what they are thankful for. Natural language processing, or NLP, will help us process these audio journals, and in combination with artificial intelligence, or AI, will assess the overall development across the board. The sentiment analysis will help us detect if someone is happy, sad, angry, and can also provide early signs of any detachment and disengagement. I also founded Carmat Learning, a 501c3 nonprofit which strives to impact society in ways beyond traditional school learning. Carmat Learning creates unique content focused on balanced youth development, teaching kids how to balance life pillars: physical, social, emotional, mental, and intellectual health. The content is created by the kids for the kids. Carmat Learning believes such education at an early age will be key for kids' future success and happiness. These are some of the programs we offer at Carmat Learning. To let us get a glimpse of how these programs work.
More than 3 out of 5 people in America claim to feel lonely and misunderstood. And during these times, the rate has probably doubled. Being at home, feeling trapped and isolated is normal now. But that doesn't make it any better. So take a step forward and help those around you by reaching out.
I like being a part of Carmat Learning because of the endless opportunities and resources they've given to the public.
It's the teamwork and positive environment which allows for each member to contribute their best.
Because it has raised awareness on my personal health, and it also allows me to help other children.
I know that I'm making an impact by helping fellow students across the world.
And guiding them on how to live a better life.
I am a co-editor-in-chief of the K-Life Monthly Bites Teen Magazine.
And secretary of the Carmat Learning Club at AIM Nature.
I'm the director of marketing at Carmat Learning.
And I'm the lead of the K-Life podcast program.
I'm the operations lead at the Carmat Learning K-Life Teen Magazine.
I'm in charge of organizing the workshops.
I'm the marketing manager for the magazine project.
I serve as a strategy director and an instructor in the online tutoring program.
I'm the social media manager for the magazine project.
I'm the creative director at the K-Life Kids Journal.
Just picking up the phone and calling an old friend takes a lot of courage, but taking that one step forward will help both you and your friends.
In our monthly issues, we published an article about a particular topic in each pillar of health, and even Q&As with experts in these topics.
I'm a speech therapist, and I help kids with learning styles because if you don't know what your learning style and personality is, it makes it harder to communicate. I developed a more growth through abundance mindset. You need to focus on positive feedback.
School can be a pretty challenging environment, not only intellectually, but for you being able to kind of test your social skills and kind of learn how to deal with people in the real world, right? And I feel like people don't really realize the amount of impact that your friends and the people you talk to have on you.
You have this habit, perhaps, of always brushing your teeth or writing in a journal, whatever it is. Everybody has a routine. If you're practicing that same routine every day, and it creates more confident and secure humans.
Yeah, you become a much more empathetic person, definitely, because you're forcing yourself to be more aware of other people. So a huge thing that I think Mia talked about is they're more willing to listen to you, right? When you're more mindful, you're in a calmer state of mind.
I'm Miss Sarika.
And I'm Arna. Listen to your very best friend, your friend.
A research fellow at the Queensland University of Technology says, having a strong sense of belonging and a regular sense of accomplishment is key to our mental well-being. They're linked with lower levels of depression and anxiety symptoms and higher levels of mental well-being.
A true education comes from students learning from outside experiences and being able to apply what they learned and having a curiosity for learning.
Are you self-aware? Do you feel like you have a good sense of what everybody else around you thinks of you? Or are you kind of wondering what they think of you?
In the journal, we teach kids the 5 pillars of health through fun activities and illustrations. All the content is made by kids for kids.
We engage in free online tutoring of plenty of subjects, ranging from academics to the arts and even sports.
These videos in all subjects and areas are geared towards helping people from all ages.
We pair up with one who needs additional encouragement or support, whether it is academic or emotional, and we pair up with them on a weekly basis online.
Taking a courageous step forward, filling our hearts with compassion, we connect with the people we love and care for. And extending that love to the people around us who need us is the true path to humanity.
In middle school, I was bullied, which impacted my confidence and well-being. That firmed my resolve to create something for teenage wellness support and help improve lives of my fellow peers. Every youth deserves a happy and successful life. I invite you all to join our movement and spread the message by clicking the Get in Touch button on top of our homepage, carmatlearning.org. Thank you.
Boy, how inspiring was that? Thanks again, Rishabh. Give him another hand. That was awesome.